Good evening. I'm Spot On Weather meteorologist Matthew Euler, and tonight's presentation is called March Madness. Why do we call it March Madness? Because we're going to have quite a variety of weather conditions, as is typical for Southeast Virginia during March. Now, all graphics are courtesy of Unisys Weather and Tropical Tidbits on this presentation. All right, so first, before I start on the actual charts, let's take a look again how air masses typically do battle in March. How these air masses work: the MT air masses, red arrows, are your warmer source regions, generally from the southwest into basically from the Gulf of Mexico. MT stands for Maritime Tropical Air Mass, which is typically your warmer, more moist, higher dew point air masses. This blue line here on each of these diagrams represents a surface cold front. And then we also have these blue arrows, which generally indicate where the colder source regions are coming from. So we look to Canada still for the colder source regions. CA is a continental Arctic type air mass. We also have continental polar air that comes down out of Canada this time of year. So it's a real battle. You'll see frequent frontal passages move across the mid-Atlantic region during March. So it'll be a battle between winter on the colder side of the cold fronts, and then spring trying to creep its way in. As we've seen in February, the warmer air has definitely won out. The current analysis, what we're looking at for today, Wednesday, the 28th of February, we do have an area of higher level jet stream winds blowing generally from the west-southwest across the mid-Atlantic at the present time. Stronger winds associated with this polar front jet stream. We do have some rain showers showing up on the weather map down across Arkansas into Tennessee, northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, northern Georgia. What we expect with time is there's a warm frontal boundary that will form, and this will push through the area overnight tonight across southeast Virginia. You will notice a definite change in the air mass tomorrow. It'll be more moist, but we also have warmer temperatures, even warmer temperatures than today. The 24-hour forecast for tomorrow. So we begin the month of March tomorrow, the 1st of March. We have a deep trough of low pressure off the Pacific Northwest with a strong upper level low. We have a little bit of a ridging pattern generally just to the east of that over the Intermountain West, Montana, into Wyoming. And then we have troughing again that's developing in the Midwestern United States. You'll notice this area here is a higher area of wind speeds indicated by the yellows and oranges and reds. And this is generally where the atmosphere gets more dynamic whenever it's associated with these jet maxes, fastly accelerating air within the jet stream core. That tends to lead to lift from the surface up through a great depth, a vertical depth of the atmosphere. What we have at the surface is a 1,004 millibar low situated over south central Illinois. We do have generally a cold front which is extending southwest from that across Missouri, approaching northwestern Arkansas. A lot of rain and moisture out ahead of this frontal boundary, an area of low pressure. So we expect some rain to move into southeast Virginia tomorrow on Thursday the 1st, along with southwesterly wind flow, which is going to usher in milder temperatures. We expect middle 60s. In some spots, might even see upper 60s tomorrow. The 48-hour forecast for Friday the 2nd of March to begin your first weekend of March. We have an area of troughing. An area of troughing and a lot of jet stream energy that is positioned basically in the vicinity of the mid-Atlantic region, in the vicinity of southeast Virginia. We do have a little bit of colder air that's going to funnel into the base of this long wave trough. So we do have a lot of wind energy. I want you to notice all this dynamic energy in the form of stronger accelerated winds within the jet core, this little finger of the jet stream. That leads to a very deep explosive development of a low pressure system at 985 millibars situated to the southeast of Cape Cod by Friday. So there's a frontal system that passes off the coast by Friday morning across southeast Virginia that will turn our winds more to the northwest and start ushering in colder temperatures and lowering thickness values. A real good snowstorm occurs across New York State at this time. And watch what happens with this low pressure system. There's a block situated over just off the chart here over Greenland associated with a negative North Atlantic oscillation. And what happens is this area of low pressure Storm system is not allowed to move readily out to sea because of a huge upper level ridge in Greenland, a block. So watch what happens over time. Look at how this system now drifts south, pretty much south-southeast, and deepens 14 millibar low pressure, deepening 14 millibars over a 24-hour period from 985 to 971 millibars. And these tightly packed lines here indicate isobars, or lines of equal barometric pressure. When they are close together like this, spaced closely together like this, that indicates a lot of wind energy in the atmosphere. So over southeast Virginia, we're expecting quite a bit of wind. Starting off northwest on Friday, shifting more northerly by Saturday. Saturday morning, this is this chart, Saturday morning, very strong winds. We have a trough of low pressure situated basically over the eastern seaboard on Saturday at this time. And there's that strong upper level low, which is supportive, which supports this bombing surface low. Notice most of the rain stays offshore, so we will be dry, but it'll be quite windy, and you will notice a difference in the feel of the air. Sunday, 4 March, we now have a ridge moving into the Midwestern United States, and we have that troughing still on the front side of the ridge into the Mid-Atlantic region. And you can see how tightly packed these lines are, these solid black lines indicating very gusty wind conditions, very rough. If any mariners were to venture out over the water, it'd be very rough seas and very strong winds out over the water. Still, with northerly winds, we're expecting a lightning wind by Sunday, but still, northerly winds, north-northeast winds will still keep things rather cool in the area. Moving on into Monday now, we see this ridge, this upper-level ridge, a long-wave ridge generally propagates to the east, closer to the Mid-Atlantic region of southeast Virginia. We got a new area of low pressure in association with this upper-level trough, basically over the Midwestern U.S. Central Plain states. So we have a new area of low pressure, we get a new cold front, and this is going to usher in quite a kick of cold temperatures over time. Again, southeast Virginia remains dry. By Monday, we are expecting the temperatures to start to slightly moderate as this system develops over the Central Plains, Midwestern U.S. Now, I am moving this ahead. I'm going from Monday the 5th to Wednesday the 7th into Thursday the 8th, and I want to show a very interesting feature. The atmosphere is primed to be very dynamic. We have an area of low pressure at 994 millibar central pressure situated just off of Vacapes by Wednesday morning, the 7th of March. And you will notice these thickness lines, these blue dashed lines, they are dropping. 1032 millibar high, along with a combination of a deepening, fairly strong, intense storm system in the Vacapes area, will result in cold air, northerly winds coming down from the colder source regions all the way down into Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina. So we do expect temperatures to really drop. Another shot of cold air by Wednesday the 7th of March. And if you notice, look at this. This 994 low is now skirted off east-northeast off the coast. And if this were true, then we could get a little rain-snow mix in the area for Hampton Roads. But way too early to tell. The water temperatures are also a factor now, have risen up near 50 degrees, so it'll be very difficult to see any wintry precip. But just wanted to point this out, that we do have another cold shot that's going to ensue upon the area the 7th and 8th of March, next Wednesday, Thursday. Moving on to Thursday the 8th, we're going to continue the frames with Thursday the 8th. Look at the low pressure system here. This is really interesting. It continues to deepen. This is another system on the 8th. 987 millibar low, 986 millibar low. Again, these lines of equal pressure, the isobars, are tightly packed, indicating very strong winds, very strong northerly winds. So we have a trough pattern in the eastern U.S., indicating colder than normal conditions. Then we move a fast forward ahead now to Wednesday, the 14th of March, and look at this one. A 983 millibar low, just as intense, sitting basically over southeast Virginia, and a deep trough of low pressure. A lot of wind energy here. This is actually overnight on Tuesday night, the 13th of March, and then this is actually the afternoon, early afternoon of the 14th of March. Look at how tightly packed these lines of equal barometric pressure are. A lot of strong northerly winds. Again, another intense little system. So we got multiple systems. The first couple weeks of March are going to be a rather dynamic time period. Let's take a look at the Arctic Oscillation on the left, pointing out that this is a negative Arctic Oscillation, and it has been negative for quite some time now. We do have a negative North Atlantic oscillation, which is favoring more blocking into Greenland, which means storm systems cannot readily move off the East Coast. They get kind of stuck. Think of a ridge as a huge big block in the atmosphere that does not allow low pressure systems to readily propagate eastward. So these are two indicators, the AO of colder temperatures at the surface for the eastern U.S., and then this negative tendency to the North Atlantic oscillation indicates a blocking pattern. So here's my long-range final thoughts for tonight. So after a very warm February with an MJO, the Madden-Julian oscillation phase was stuck in 7 for quite some time. The first 2 weeks of March are going to be much colder, colder than normal after we had a polar vortex split in February. And typically what happens is that yields a negative AO and North Atlantic oscillation over time. Now, a negative AO favors colder than normal temperatures in the eastern U.S., while negative NAO favors blocking into Greenland, higher latitudes into Greenland, resulting in storms being unable to readily move off the coast. And we saw a great example of that with this weekend. Just keeping in mind this system here is not able to move northeast and move out to sea like it normally would because of this huge block. And again, there's Friday the 2nd, and look at this. This is Saturday the 3rd. It's actually forced to the southeast, which is totally not normal. What you typically see. All right, so the pattern is going to remain very active, and we are going to see multiple storm developments somewhere situated between the Mid-Atlantic and the East Coast, starting this weekend, the 2nd of March through the 4th of March, and this is going to continue for a couple of weeks. So this is basically winter's last hurrah, so to speak, but it is going to be colder than normal, and we are going to see some pretty decent storm development. Now, the National Weather Service in Wakefield has issued a high wind watch for the area, for the Hampton Roads area. And this is going to start Friday morning, the 2nd of March, and last through Saturday afternoon, the 3rd of March. We do expect wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour in some locations. The strongest winds will be closer to the coastline. So if you are living in the Hampton Roads area, it'd be very advisable to bring any loose objects that may blow away indoors, either in the garages or somewhere safe, because with the strong winds, they could get those kind of objects can get blown or thrown around outside. And then with periods of very strong winds and temperatures as cold as 45 to 50 degrees during the day, and those temperatures dropping into the 30s at night, the wind chill values are going to be a factor. So they could drop as low as the 20s. It's going to make it feel much colder out with such a strong wind and a northerly wind at that. So dress in layers to avoid heat loss. That's the best bit of advice we could give you. Right, here's where to find us at Spot On Weather. Again, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, website, and that's our regular Spot On Weather email at the bottom. All right, that wraps things up tonight. Hope you enjoyed the presentation. Spot On Weather, if we're not spot on, we're not doing it right. Have a great evening, everyone.